Was the New York Times being sensitive or hypocritical when it decided against running an anti-Islam ad just days after running a full-page ad bashing the Catholic Church?
Here to weigh in is the creator of the rejected ad, author of the book Stop the Islamization of America, Pamela Geller. Good morning to you. And if we can, while we talk about that, let's again put up those ads side by side. What you did is you took an ad almost directly that was run in the New York Times that they accepted, and that is the one
on the right-hand side, they accepted anti-Catholic.
The one on the left you created, basically taking Catholicism where they exchanging Islam for Catholicism.
He's trying to say you used the exact same template.
And they rejected it.
I used the exact same template. The only thing I did was I flipped the language.
Right.
And I referred to the Sharia. I referred to clitorectomies. I referred to the 18,560 Islamic attacks since 9/11. But it was the exact same ad. Even the cartoon, I supplanted the bishop with the blind sheikh behind the World Trade Center attacks.
And basically, here's how the New York Times responded when you tried to pay $39,000 to run your ad. They say the fallout from running this ad now could put U.S. troops and or civilians in the Afghan region in danger. Do they have a point?
Do they have a point? This is craven hypocrisy. When you consider that they ran 32 front-page consecutive news stories on Abu Ghraib. Where was their concern for our troops then? When they leaked the NSA Al-Qaeda wiretapping, when they leaked the SWIFT, the financial transactions between terrorism, they have done more to put our troops in jeopardy.
But right now, I mean, given that things are so turbulent in Afghanistan after the accidental Qur'an burnings, would an ad like this fan the flames, do you think?
When is it good to blaspheme under the Sharia? The New York Times is self-enforcing Sharia. Under the Sharia, you cannot offend Islam. You cannot criticize Islam. If they would run 32 pages, that wasn't inflaming. When Newsweek lied about the Quran being flushed, that wasn't inflaming.
So why are they doing this then?
Because they know that Catholics won't kill them, but Muslims will. And so they're reinforcing that violent extremism works, that terrorism works. And I think that it's abject surrender. I think it's craven hypocrisy. That anti-Catholic ad was a blistering, insulting attack. I merely cited statistics. It was the exact same ad. There is absolutely no way that they will run it, and I think that they made their bias known. It's painfully clear.
You're not alone. Bill Donahue of the Catholic League agrees, and he says the Times decision basically was based on either anti-Catholic bigotry or fear of Islamic violence, and they've painted themselves into that corner. We should say that the New York Times has said that they will consider your ad in a few months.
Oh, yes. I'm holding my breath. You can come visit me at the morgue.
You'll hold them to that.
Of course I'm going to hold them to it, but I can assure you that this is not the first. They do self-enforce Sharia. They will not offend Islam. They will not criticize Islam. I will bet you dollars to donuts they will never run that ad, ever. When did they worry about the troops? Ever.
Pam Geller, thanks so much for coming in. Let us know what happens with it.
Thank you so much for having me. We are seeing an increasing hostile and evil force, both in Europe and clearly in the Middle East, and now America.
These are frozen waffles.
Yes.
And I don't think I've ever had a frozen waffle. Have you ever had one?
I have.
Are they tasty?
Sure they are.
Butter and syrup?
You can put syrup on them. Yeah, a little powdered sugar sometimes.
Powdered sugar?
Yeah. Yeah, they're nice. What's that?
I don't know. It's a thing.
Oh, my goodness, it's a slingshot. Oh, my. Well.
Wow. Where'd that go?
Just right in front of the desk, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Be careful. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Well.
You see that thing? It went with the speed of light and traveled about 1.5 feet. Try for up there. They used They used something very similar to this in the Civil War. Were you aware of that? Oh! All right. Okay.
Right up there.
Caught the woman off guard up there. I think I might have fractured her cheekbone.
Well, look at the frozen. Are they frozen?
I'm begging you, no lawsuits.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try one
They
more,
are frozen.
and then we'll put it away. Try one.
Certainly hope so.
I'm going to try one more.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, we know we have that.
At the very least.
If nothing else happens tonight, we go back to the waffle.
I understand.
Because that seemed to be a huge hit.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, I know where I am. The problem is that people don't like it. And clearly, I love that your show is named Peace. It's what I'm fighting for. But with many people, peace cannot be negotiated because this is not their objective.
Itself from hostile invasions and terror. Israel is a small state surrounded by Arab countries 650 times its size, some of which are large bases of global terror. Only 44 miles separate between the Jordan Valley and the Mediterranean Sea. After the Six-Day War in 1967, when Israel was attacked by 4 armies on 3 fronts, United Nations Security Council Resolution 242 stated that Israel was entitled to new defensible borders to replace the previous fragile lines from which it was attacked. What are Israel's defensible borders? What are its essential security needs? The Jordan Rift Valley, Israel's eastern frontier, forms a natural barrier between Israel and the countries of Jordan, Iraq, and Iran. The Jordan Valley rises from an area that is 1,200 feet below sea level to a hilly ridge of up to 3,000 feet, creating a steep 4,200-foot virtual wall opposite any force attacking from the east. The growing threat of global jihad activity near Israel's borders requires it to prevent infiltrations of terrorists and weapons. When Israel left the Philadelphia corridor in Gaza, it became a highway for the infiltration of terrorists and the flow of hundreds of tons of ammunition and weaponry from all over the Arab world, aimed at Israeli civilians. The Jordan Valley is the equivalent of Gaza's Philadelphia corridor in the West Bank. To defend itself, Israel must retain control over the Jordan Valley. This is Israel's mountain ridge, rising up to 3,000 feet. It dominates Israel's major coastal cities, where more than 70% of its population, 80% of its industry, and all of its airfields and seaports are located. Missiles launched from the Judean hills pose an immediate threat to Jerusalem, Israel's capital. Israel's only international airport, Ben Gurion, would be in the range of even primitive rockets, while all planes taking off and landing would be threatened by shoulder-launched anti-aircraft missiles. More advanced weaponry would be able to hit virtually any point in Israel. If Israel were forced back to the 1949 armistice lines, the Green Line, the country's width would be reduced to a narrow 9-mile waistline that would be impossible to defend. That's why any future arrangement must include Israeli control over key areas of the mountain ridge and a demilitarized Palestinian state. Israel's narrow borders means a combat aircraft can cross the entire country in under 4 minutes. In less than 2 minutes, an enemy plane could penetrate the country's airspace via the Jordan Valley and reach Jerusalem. In order to thwart an aerial attack on Jerusalem, a hostile plane must be shot down at least 10 miles east of the capital to prevent it from crashing into major population centers. Therefore, Israel must be able to identify hostile planes before they cross the Jordan River line and intercept them shortly after. To defend itself, Israel must control the airspace over the West Bank. Israel's transportation arteries, and in particular the Trans-Israel Highway, enable travel and connection between Israel's regions. They also assure the mobility of the Israel Defense Forces in case of attack. Protection of these vital arteries is essential in order to ensure that 1. Civilians aren't victims of terrorist gunfire. 2. Regions of the country cannot easily be cut off. 3. The mobility of Israel's defense forces is not hindered in the case of invasion. To defend itself, Israel must control its main arteries of transportation. There is enormous uncertainty about future trends in the Middle East. Iran is determined to become the supreme power as the U.S. withdraws from Iraq. No one can guarantee the future of many of the current regimes in the region. Today, more than ever, it is crucial to ensure defensible borders for Israel.
We are seeing an increasing hostile and evil force, both in Europe and clearly in the Middle East, and now America. Well, I know where I am. The problem is that people don't like it. And clearly, I love that your show is named Peace. It's what I'm fighting for. But with many people, peace cannot be negotiated because this is not their objective.